Hello, welcome to the LawyerFair Daily Podcast. I am Andrew Weaver, CEO of LawyerFair.co.uk. And today's guest, well, let me just have a quick look down the CV because it's rather awesome, particularly for her age. Let me just quote a few. I've plucked a few items from her CV. She is a relapsing theoretical physicist, a martial artist, a huge, someone might say over-obsessive Doctor Who fan, and also the author of a book called Wire Yourself for Wealth. And I had a quick look at Amazon, where there are a huge number of 5-star reviews for this book, let me tell you. And there's a quote from it. A bonus of the book is access to her short audios, one of which is designed to reprogram the subconscious. Leigh Clarke, welcome.
Hey, Andrew.
Hello. I've landed you a quote from one of your 5-star reviews about reprogramming the subconscious. And I'd like you to explain a little more to a Luddite like me about what the hell that means.
Well, I mean, let's start with the title of the book. It's about how to rewire yourself for wealth. And the biggest problem that I find that business owners, entrepreneurs and solopreneurs have in doing that is their subconscious programming. It's the limiting beliefs, it's the paradigms that they operate from. And once we fix that, it becomes very easy to create whatever it is that you want. And all it takes is a little bit of attention, a little bit of work in the right direction, and everything gets 100 million times easier. So that's the reason why we focus on the subconscious.
And are there classic blockages for most people? Are there kind of standard blockages that you encounter with entrepreneurs?
Yeah, there are some that are like 80% of people will have them, like across the board. And that's the purpose of the audio tracks, and we talk about them in the book and so on. They tend to be things like, I don't deserve to have success, I don't deserve to be wealthy, I can't do that because ... fill in the blank. And the other one, particularly I find this for women, and I don't coach women exclusively. In fact, I mostly work with guys. But women have the "I'm not enough" program. So whatever it is, like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not enough, or there's something wrong with me internally, so therefore I can't have what I achieve. And all of these are kind of daydreams. They're just fantasies that we've kind of surrounded ourselves with as a result of a teacher telling us that we're not good enough, or a parent who was less than attentive or whatever. And the great news is that all of this can be fixed. It doesn't have to be the be all and end all to how we manage our emotions throughout our life. We don't have to subscribe to these paradigms.
Well, listen, it is truly a fascinating area. I'm going to give you a hypothesis of a startup entrepreneur who finds himself at 1 o'clock in the morning scratching his head thinking, why am I not achieving much more than I'm achieving? This might be someone who is involved in LawyerFair, it might not be. But I mean, that I find, from my perspective, I don't think necessarily I don't think I deserve to be wealthy or don't feel that I'm enough. But I think many startup entrepreneurs, if they're honest, suffer this. There is a frustration about why the hell am I not achieving more? Am I not doing more? Am I not getting more traction? Now, of course, the reality probably is you've got a shit product, or there are a variety of things that are stopping you from doing it. But I think there's probably a lot of psychology going on as well in there, isn't there?
Right. And I would say fix the psychology and everything else sorts itself out. So if we were to go with the hypothetical entrepreneur that's scratching his head at 1 o'clock in the morning, my take on that particular instance would be the magic formula syndrome. So this particular chap, as talented and driven and ambitious as he is looking for a magic formula. And when he realizes that there isn't a magic formula and he just has to decide that this is the outcome that he wants to create, he frees up all of these resources and all of his creativity and energy to just create that, rather than look for something that he has to achieve or understand before he reaches that end goal.
Well, now I realise there isn't a magic formula. I do already feel relief, so thank you for that. the Leigh Clarke invoice will be in the post. But you're dealing with a wide range of business owners, not necessarily startups, are you? I mean, in fact, I'm always fascinated. I mean, I am a bit of a seasoned old pro in business, so I don't suffer from some of the issues perhaps younger entrepreneurs do. But one of the issues I think is always, everybody else knows more. Everybody else is better.
Yeah.
Everybody, the guy who's doing the presentation at this seminar, God, he's impressive. And of course, the reality is that all of them are either encountering similar blockages or issues or insecurities. And I think when you begin to understand that everybody, no matter how successful the dragon might be in the dragon's den, probably still has some of those insecurities, but is negotiating them. It's a kind of light bulb moment, I think, isn't it? That when you appreciate that the rest of the world also is struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if they're struggling and you're struggling, then why can't you have the same success? Right?
No, for sure. And so the point of that rather rambling intro was your this is something that helps the successful entrepreneur as well as the startup guy, isn't it? It's a very similar process.
Oh, totally. I mean, I've worked with people who have started their business from scratch and just bootstrapped it off the back of their day job, through to people who have been running businesses and really struggling, and on the verge of bankruptcy, and then 12 months later they're turning over like 2.2 million, and all is well, and people who are doing well and want to do better and want to find more meaning in what they do. So yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. So the book is Wire Yourself for Wealth. Now, I'm not going to let Laura go because there's another angle with Laura that I would like to explore, and that is the fact that if you go onto Laura's LinkedIn profile, you'll see that she's based in Oxford, but actually she needs to update that LinkedIn CV. Can I tell you, I found a LinkedIn, just a slight tangent, but yesterday I found Roberto Di Matteo's LinkedIn profile. Do you know Roberto Di Matteo? Former Chelsea manager from a few years ago, and he still has on his LinkedIn profile Chelsea manager. So I think he needs to update his CV as well. But Laura has Oxford. Now I know that she no longer is in Oxford. She is what is termed as a digital nomad, because she's talking to us from her new apartment in Budapest, which is but a stepping stone on a world tour. Just what's happened, Laura? What are you doing?
Well, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Oxford, actually, and I was doing these emails and writing copy and just doing normal everyday stuff. And for whatever reason, I think an email came in, and I was like, oh, I just want to do something different. And I got this pull to be somewhere else. And I'm really one for trusting our intuition. I think the intuition that we have within us, if we pay attention to it, is the greatest guiding force that we can possibly, leverage and unfold. And I just got this pull that I needed to be somewhere else. And within about 20 minutes, I decided that Budapest was the place. And a few people had mentioned Budapest over the last, previous 2 months, and then I also got a pull for LA, and I ran a few other places through my radar, and Florida would have been an easy one because I've got family property out there and all this kind of thing, and I was just like, no, it doesn't feel right. And call it what you will, call it intuition, call it this guiding force, call it land energies or whatever. There is something important going on that I needed to pay attention to, and here I am.
so well, it's fascinating. I think that one of the things, Laura and I met 2 or 3 years ago, and you've always had this really interesting angle on business and how people should manage their lives, essentially, their business lives and their personal lives. They're closely linked. So I've always found your thinking very interesting on this. And I love the fact that you sat there and literally in a kind of 15 or 20 minute space decided to become a digital nomad and go to Budapest. So I think it's brilliant. And I think that with technology and with the advent of being able to run your business from a laptop, that many more people should be considering something similar rather than the traditional 9 to 5 in an office. But so that's just my little thought on it. So where is the Laura Leigh Clarke tour going to take you from here?
Okay, so so I'm here for 2 months, and then I'm going to LA. I've got lovely little digs in Santa Monica, then Austin, Texas, and then back to London and Oxford for a course that I want to attend, and then one that I want to deliver, and actually with my Yoda group, the Platinum Mentoring group that we talked about, and then possibly Ibiza, because I hear that that's a kind of cool place to be. It's particularly off season, and there's something about the land energies there. There's lots of mythology around that, and people experience it and talk about it a lot. So I wanted to try that at some point, maybe even Russia at some point as well, to get the contrast. But It's not booked. I mean, anything can happen
Who
after
knows?
Oxford. Yeah.
Who knows? Well, listen, I'd like to speak to you again when you're at one of these new destinations and just see where.
Oh, do you want a standing date,
A
like
standing
every
date.
2 months?
Well, let's do it. Let's book it. Let's book it in. I certainly want to have. It'd be very interesting. I mean, Budapest and LA, two very contrasting types of city and culture and history, clearly, but also quite interesting. I mean, are you likely to network locally, or are you just going to be completely online? You're just going to keep it online?
It's been bizarre. I was expecting to show up here knowing maybe one person in town and that would be it. But it turns out that the lady whose apartment I'm renting is into similar kind of things, and we've been out a few times. She's introduced me to people. I posted on Facebook, and a whole bunch of other people, like the Awesomeness Fest tribe, have kind of come out of the woodwork and said, "Oh, I'm in Budapest. Do you want to meet for coffee? I'm going for drinks. Come to Get Festival," and all this kind of thing. So it feels like similar things happening in LA as well. So it seems like wherever I go, I've got the opportunity to meet with all these amazing people, and I can't help but think that some part of the journey is about going and connecting with these people, because there are things that I'm learning, things that I'm bumping up against, new ideas, new energies that are the reason for the digital nomad.
Well, it's awesome. You're going to have a great time. That goes without saying. So listen, let's wrap this up quickly. The book is Wire Yourself for Wealth. The mentoring group, what's the platform? How can people get in touch with you and ask you more questions about some of these issues?
Oh, cool. Okay, so the best way to contact me is probably the website, which is prosperityqm.com. So the QM stands for quantum mechanics, which we didn't really have much time to talk about, but we've got a conversation.
That's for the LA call.
Okay. You're on. So yeah, if you go there, you can download my toolkit, which includes some audio tracks on how to clear out the abundance blocks and the limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck. There's also a process map on there of how to take an idea from concept through to a profitable business, and that's a really useful resource. But it also puts you onto like my main communication list, and you will hear my stories and useful information and insights and material as it comes through. And all you need to do is hit reply to any of those, and that goes straight to my personal inbox. So be in touch.
That's brilliant. I have to say that we had a slight issue with hearing everything there, Laura. So if people didn't get all that, I'm going to include it in the text that's below the video, it's below the audio on YouTube and other channels. So we will make that information publicly available. But listen, Laura, you and I joked a little about the smoke and mirrors of some of the world that we work in. But I have to say, you are someone with a really interesting angle, and the move to Budapest has only increased my interest in what you do. So let's keep in touch, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. It's been awesome.
Thanks
Take
a lot.
care.
So that was the LawyerFair Daily Podcast. There'll be more tomorrow. Thanks for listening.